racing. I've been feeling you lately, baby. You've been making me crazy. Wait, my heart has been racing. I've been feeling you lately.
Testing. Can you guys hear me okay? In the back, Luke, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? It's loud? All right, hey, everybody, let's come on in. I want you to fill in the seats up here in the front. The closer, the better. I want to see your beautiful faces. Come on up, guys. I hate having seats in the front empty, so I want you guys to just come on up. Fill it in. And I promise you, what's up? I promise you that the churros are coming. I'm disappointed like you are, but they're coming, they promise. And they even said they will come and serve you while you're seated because they weren't ready when you guys came. So I guess they ran into some power issues. Okay, the sound quality sounds bad in the back. Is it bad? It's okay. Am I holding it too close? You can hear me better now? I have a loud enough voice. You probably don't need a mic at all anyway. And then let's turn down the sound a little bit because we can get started. Anyway, fill it in, guys. Fill it in. And then once we get the sound going, okay, you get your Wi-Fi going because this will go away in just a second. So if you want Wi-Fi, grab this now because it'll go away here in a few minutes. But there's Wi-Fi because I know the connectivity in here is not the best. And if you are going to take any pictures or videos, please do. And tag me on socials, because you know I love that stuff. Feel free to tag. You can post about it, whatever you want. I wanted to get started. Here he is. I wanted to get started with a little bit of a Q&A after we do just a couple announcements. And then we'll do the actual pitches. We'll start at like just around 4 o'clock, if that's right. So that way you guys can see 3 individual pitches. Super excited for these companies to come and present. And then if they can hear me in the front, will you guys turn off the sound, the music? I don't think we need the music in here anymore. But I appreciate music though. Okay. Thanks, guys. Come on up. Come on up in here. Take a seat. There's comfy seats here. Okay. So we've got everything live streaming right now. So for those of you who are online, we'll kind of give you an idea. I don't think the online people can see anyone else. So only the folks that are up here. I've got an extra mic. So when we do the Q&A, they won't be able to hear you if you don't have a microphone. So do I have a volunteer that can run a mic around? Oh, you're awesome. Thank you. You know how these events go. Thanks. You guys, thanks for coming. My name is Bubba Page. I hope we're connected on LinkedIn. I think most of us are connected. If not, feel free to go on there. Connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest place. If you love the personal vibe, then go to Instagram because I'm posting all kinds of things with my kids and family and God and everything on there. But I think social is a fun place where we can connect and share good content. I started Influence.VC about 1.5 years ago, and the focus of Influence is to invest in startups, and investing in startups specifically to where I can bring a layer of expertise of working with social media influencers. So in every deal that we write checks into, then we can bring influencers into that deal to help them grow faster. So that's just a little differentiation from maybe other investors and what we can do. Most of the venture capitalists here, at least in the state of Utah, they don't have a ton of experience working with influencers. So if you have a B2C product or a technology product and even B2B, like LinkedIn influencers, they can also help those companies grow. So anyway, just be thinking about that as you spread the word about the event. This is a QR code. If you guys can scan it while hopefully you got the Wi-Fi, scan the QR code because when the companies are presenting up here, you'll be able to like rate them, give reviews, like help us out with the event to make it better. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second, scan it, and that even for those who are online, I think this should show big enough on your screen that you can scan it with your phone, and it should just pull up a little form, and that way, as the presentations go, you can submit what your thoughts are, and if you have Wi-Fi, let them rock and roll. Okay, there it is. We're going to just get started with a little bit of a Q&A before the presentations happen. And I know we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs here. And I want to be able to at least, we can have this little fireside chat before we get going with the presentations. Take note as you see these 3 different presentations come out. I know some of you are probably trying to raise money. I know you've come to me already to raise capital. I want you to see how they put together their slide decks. I want you to take note of how they present it, and then we can kind of discuss a little bit more how that works. But we've got a microphone right here. Let's get started with a few minutes of Q&A. Rock and roll. Discussions about investing, about entrepreneurship, about building your pitch deck. And this is a group that is open to sharing and helping one another, right? So let's rock and roll. What's one of the first things you got?
Hey, Bob. Quick question. So is the only way to leverage the network of influencers y'all have only to be invested by you, or is there another way to access that network and see if there's any kind of work they can do? Because we're building a consumer AI product, and we'd like to see if there's anything that can be done there.
Yeah, so typically, if it's my specific network, yes, usually it's when I write a check, just because it's the amount of time and energy and effort it takes to be able to gather and educate and work with. It makes it a little bit more difficult to do it when there isn't an additional value add there. I'm happy to give tips and tricks like we are doing right here. And I'll always try to share content online that can help, but actually accessing the direct network, it's probably going to be through that. I haven't necessarily opened up a consulting arm of the business, and maybe that's something that we could potentially do. We have technically done consulting, but that hasn't been like a focus. So anyway, good question though. Appreciate it. Okay, what's another one? Who here is building a startup right now? Who wants to be building a startup sometime soon? Awesome. Who has ever written a check into a startup before? Holy cow, we have more investors than I thought. That's awesome. I mean, that was close to like, what, a third or a half of people writing checks. Awesome. What was the last deal that you guys wrote a check into as we're waiting for somebody to come up with a question? You want to share? You should be excited about it if you wrote a check into it. Come on, guys. Yeah, here, up here, we'll give them the mic so people can hear.
2 last year that I wrote a check into that I like are Private Auto and Pitch 59.
That's awesome. Private Auto you got to give us the elevator pitch so we know what it is.
Oh, Private Auto is a peer-to-peer like vehicle selling platform where you can wire any amount of money, do the deal docs, and everything's secure. And so it kind of breaks the barrier of moving funds for those high dollar items. And then Pitch 59 is essentially a digital business card where you're able to record a 59-second pitch about who you are, what you do. And it's great for like guerrilla marketing, network marketing types of people.
All right. That's cool. Writing checks. That's awesome. I love it. What's another one? Come on, share the startup. He's giving a shout out. Spencer's in the back.
Hold on.
Hello, online. I just wrote a check to a Amazon. I love the Amazon software space, like that facilitates ways to make selling easier, faster, better. And so I've written 3 checks in the last year into those types of software spaces that they have there. One is optimizing ticketing software, solving problems for sellers in a more efficient and fast way that identifies it automatically. Working on my own startup right now that does content optimization and market share measurement for those players. And then there's another one that I wrote a software into that is optimizing the spend across platforms, both Amazon, Walmart, Target, Costco. All of them have their own ad networks and platforms, and how do you optimize spend across all of those different platforms? So really fun places.
Here's a tip. So Spencer and I have known each other for a long time. He has an expertise in a business that he built and then sold within that kind of Amazon space. So he's finding these cool companies that he truly understands deeply and is writing checks into them. I think that's awesome. And a whole bunch of other checks into a whole bunch of other things too, which is part of diversification. Okay. What's another question about raising money right now? How many of you are trying to raise capital? There we go. Yeah, let's hear it.
So, what would you say is the
Tell us your name so we can.
Aaron Stitt? And my question is, what would you say is the most valuable alternative when it comes to traction to revenue, to straight revenue? So, like the alternatives would be, following on Instagram or TikTok, or having some influencers that are working with your product, or having a minimum viable product. If you don't have revenue, what's the next most important thing that you should try to get?
In order to get funding?
In order to get pre-seed funding, yeah.
I think having an MVP, a product, is usually typically helpful so people can see it, play with it, get an idea of what the vision looks like. Revenue is definitely the best. Users, so it depends on what you're building, but users, people who are using the app or the product of some kind. I think the social following is less important when you're building a startup for fundraising, unless it's like specifically an influencer-led product, and then it might matter. But if you're trying to build, is it a technology product? Is that where you're going?
B2C wellness app.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an app. Then 100% would be the MVP and then users. For sure. Because if you can get users in the app, even if they're free, then at least you are proving that people might want that thing. You won't have proved that they are willing to pay for anything yet if there's no revenue yet. But even if you can generate, hey, we just launched our app and we got 5,000 signups for our app. That's pretty impressive.
This is good.
Yeah. So, but definitely building an MVP. If you don't have the MVP at all yet, and you're just pitching an idea or a concept, right now in today's investment environment, I don't know if those other investors in the audience want to, speak up on this. It feels like if you don't have traction, whether it's users, a number of users, or revenue, and you're a first-time entrepreneur, it's going to be really hard to raise capital. Really hard. And so there's kind of this phrase or saying of the 3 Ds and the 3 Fs. You might want to try raising money from doctors, dentists, and dummies, or friends, families, and fools, before you go to like a venture capitalist, because they're just going to be way too sophisticated to see a product of a first-time founder with no traction, with no users, with no revenue. Most likely, it's just not going to happen. Am I saying the right thing for the other investors in the room? You guys are nodding. Do you have something to say? Here, why don't you pass the microphone right back there? Thank you.
A good advisor team and management team.
Yeah, advisor team management. It's tough to get a great management team if you don't have any revenue or if you don't have any funding, right? But you can find a crew. You can find a crew to get there with you. Okay, that's cool. All right, what's another one? Are you guys all ready? Are you guys teed up? Laptops are ready to go? Okay. We got our presenters here. You ready? Okay. Let's do a few more questions, though, while we got some time. Everybody's nervous.
I'll take one.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to pitch their idea to you, or what's the best way to get your time?
Yeah. Always having a relationship is going to be the number one way to get into any investor whatsoever. A personal relationship is definitely the number one. If you don't have that, then finding an intro in from somebody that knows the investor, and making sure that that relationship is good. Because if somebody that has burned me in the past is introducing me to another deal, I'm probably not going to pay attention. But if it's somebody that I have a good relationship with, and they say, look, I think this guy or gal that's building this thing is awesome. Would you take a look? That's going to jump to the top of the stack. Somebody adding me on LinkedIn is a good thing, but I don't have a relationship with them just yet. And a LinkedIn relationship maybe isn't as strong as us shaking hands at an event or connecting in some other way. Another key I've found that within investors is if you can provide value to that person first, to build that relationship, that is one way to get in the door without asking for anything. Usually, you've heard the phrase, when you ask for advice, you get funding. And when you ask for funding, you get advice. Sometimes that happens. And so if you're able to maybe start in that direction first before like, hey, I'm pitching, I'm raising and going for it, that will be helpful. And then just realizing that whether it's a venture capital fund and they have fund cycles, they may be telling you no today, not because your product is bad, but because they can't write a check in this current moment of their fund. That happens. For me, because I'm a syndicate, which means I have a network of investors that when I personally write a check, I invite others to come in with me. So instead of my little check, I have a group that's writing a check together. I am only able to do so many deals at a time. And so I literally have to tell people, like, I love this deal. I want to be invested, but I'm 3 months out before I can even attempt to take that to my network. And as I continue to scale, that might move faster. But right now, where's Morgan? Morgan's my newest team member. She's helping me rock and roll with things in my group. So relationships, absolutely number one. I think that's definitely the key. Relationships. Good question. There's so many people here with wealths of knowledge. It's awesome. Looking at me in the audience. Okay. Last couple. We got one in the back.
So I think that there's what you look for, but then what are your immediate red flags or the things that you see and you're like, okay, that's maybe just a gut feel or something that would set you off to just say no?
Somebody asked me to sign an NDA. I know that sounds hard, but like, if you're gonna have me sign an NDA, I'll just say no. And if that stops you, then I just won't look at the deal. As an investor, I'm seeing hundreds and hundreds of deals. In a year, 1,000+ deals, right? I cannot sign an NDA. I don't think any investor or venture capital firm is going to sign an NDA unless it's maybe in the medical space, maybe government, possibly. That's just not where I invest. But if you ask for an NDA, I'm just going to say no, and I'm going to know that you probably haven't pitched to investors yet. Other red flags would be reputation. So if there's a reputational effect, if you haven't been kind or treated people in a good way, and that is known, that's going to be a red flag. I want to invest in people who I know, love, and trust, because this is a marriage. I'm going to be married to you for 5 to 10 years when I write a check. And so I want to invest in people who I really want to spend time with. Now, I'm not coming in as some full-time person in that company, but I'm going to be through thick and thin with those founders. And again, it's a 5 to 10 year process, typically for an early stage startup to go through an acquisition of some kind. And so I want to be able to have a positive relationship with that person. If they're really hard to deal with, if they're not nice or kind, I probably don't want to. Those are red flags for me. The other thing is if you're building something in an area that's not your expertise, that's probably a red flag. Not to say that you can't figure something out in a different industry, but it's easier to know that you've spent X amount of time in this industry and now you're building a solution to a problem in that industry. Other red flags. Hey, you guys help me out. What are some red flags that you've seen as you've looked at pitches too? Oh, co-founder problems, which is inevitable. There will typically, there are co-founder issues that happen all the time. If they haven't been resolved yet, or if there's a really messy cap table, like if you got grandma and your aunt and uncle and cousins all part of the cap table, that might be a red flag to me as an investor. Say it again. Oh, debt, absolutely. Yeah, debt, that kind of scares off investors a little bit. Another one. Here you go.
So I run a recruiting firm, and we work a lot with startups. And sometimes we'll come across like an ambitious CEO or founder looking for a technical co-founder, or vice versa, which I'm sure you've crossed paths with. But what kind of advice do you have for someone looking for a technical co-founder, or like a real good co-founder? What should they look for? How do they select them? Yeah.
All right. I may need some help from a lot of these tech entrepreneurs out here. Finding, and specifically a technical co-founder you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. So I am not a technical co-founder, so I've had to go through this process. And I would suggest, number one is going to be relationships, somebody that you've known, that you've worked with in the past, that you've had experience with. That is going to be your number one, criteria. because of trust. When you're going into a partnership with somebody as a co-founder, there's just got to be an insane amount of trust. I've got one of my co-founders sitting here, Dave Oldham, that he and I built a business in 2000, roughly 14 to 17-ish together. And we knew of each other and we were friendly with each other, but we didn't necessarily have a ton of history, right? And but as we started to meet and I was recruiting, him to come on, it was like the feeling of trust was just solid. And I'd want him to marry my sister if she was available, right? Like, obviously he's married and that's not, but like the trust is insane. But I think trust is huge. Trust is huge. What was that one? Did you have something else? Oh, okay. And then from a technical, like the technical chops, again, I'm not the technical co-founder. So I would rely on my friends who are the technical experts to kind of vet another person. Spencer's got a tip in the back. He's done the tech thing a few times.
I've done it a couple of times, and I've had some successes and I've had some failures at this aspect, right, when it comes to technical co-founders. And the best way I can describe this one principle is kind of like when you're running a relay race. When you're running a relay race, you'll notice that when the baton is handed off, both people are running, right? And with your technical co-founder, what I've been able to find is I don't need to know everything about how to program everything, but I need to know enough to where I can have a good conversation and we can understand each other. And on the vice versa, they need to know enough about the business aspect that they can run along with me too. I've been in a couple of situations where my technical co-founder didn't understand the business aspect of things, and so they would build stuff that never would sell, and that really damaged the business and it damaged the relationship. It caused a lot of problems. And I, vice versa, didn't understand enough about the technology to not make demands that were unreasonable of that tech team and what needed to happen. But when both of us could start to run together and have just enough overlap, that was probably the most important key that I had with a technical co-founder versus a business co-founder.
You probably want to make sure they're building in a language that you're already building in or that you want to build into. That just from a tactical level, if you're building something that has to be hyper scalable or mobile first, or then find somebody that has the technical chops in that area. If you're finding somebody that's been doing, desktop only enterprise software and you're building a consumer app, it may not go over as well. That makes sense. Okay, do we have just like one last thing or share? Yeah, right here in the back.
I'll just go back to the red flag of, and as an investor is, I think there's a lot of people starting to pitch a unicorn from the first pitch. And so it's just understanding to be more realistic with projections. What is your TAM? A lot of people analyze their TAM and it's like, well, I'm going to get 1% of that. And I only need 1% and we're making billions. Like, well, 1% is not very attainable. And so it's just understanding that, having a real feel for that, and understanding the timing, right? Going from angel seed, the different VCs, to understand the level of material. That's another thing. I focus more on the VC side. So when you come to a VC and you don't have your financials well presentable, that's a big red flag also. I mean, you need to be, it's just a level of maturity changes in the different phases of investing.
Now, this may cause some controversy as I share one of my red flags, is that I know some investors out there, they want to get an entrepreneur that they write a check into that is just all the way, all in, all out there, and that person is going to do nothing in their life other than that startup, and that they know exactly what they're doing. They're the expert. All of those things, some investors, that's what they want. They want to write a check into that person that is the king of the world in that arena. I would rather invest in, this is just my opinion, and I could be very wrong. But my opinion is I want to write a check into somebody who has some level of humility to know that they could be wrong in some areas. But when they're going forward with confidence, but if something isn't working, they're willing to recognize and say, we learned that this didn't work, so we made a pivot to this thing that does now work, versus somebody who is so set in their ways and they have to be right. That to me is a red flag. And I also want somebody who is, it's okay to go home and have dinner with your family. You might pick your laptop back up that night, but I also want to know that I'm supporting somebody who puts God and family as a priority. Now, I get it. Startups, you have to sacrifice a lot to make it work. And when I write a check into a business and I've got my network writing checks, they have to be dedicated to that business, no question. But I don't want you to throw away what really matters in this life just because you're doing your startup. And there is a way to do it successfully, in my opinion, and put in so much of your mental energy and your time and physical energy into the startup to make sure you're giving the investors the right value. But man, life is too short to give up on the most important things, and most of those are going to be sitting around your kitchen table, in my opinion. So, okay, guys, you ready? This is super helpful. Thank you for sharing your questions and for some of you guys bringing up answers. This is what's cool is there's literally such a wealth of knowledge here that we can help each other. I want to be able to build some of the ecosystem around, and obviously funding startups, I think, builds, but also bringing people together where we can help each other. It only all tides start to rise. Okay, is there any last thing before I jump in? You guys ready to rock? Okay, we're just gonna go in order. Aaron, you're gonna start us off, all right? Let's do it. And then Reed will have you go next, and Jay, you're gonna finish it off. Oh no, you have to leave. Never mind. Jay's gonna go first because he's got to take off. Okay, just you come on down. So just so you guys know, we got Jay Davis here. He's the founder of PillowCube. You may have also heard of Creatively. They've done a ton of the viral videos for some of the startups, not just around town, but all over the place. And he's been able to spin off and do these awesome brands. And PillowCube is just one of the brands that has just absolutely taken off. We've known each other for a long time. I'm using the product and have for at least a year, if not 2 years now. And I think from an influencer perspective, they have an incredible advantage of leveraging what influencers could do to scale them even to that next level. So this is one of the reasons why I brought Jay here. Again, remember this QR code. If you didn't scan it yet, please scan it because I really want your feedback, and so do they. They want your feedback on this, and then I can reach out to you after the fact, especially for the investors in the room if you guys want to connect. And with Jay specifically, he's got to run to a family event, which I'm super supportive of. And so that's why he's going to go first. So you may not see him after the event. So make sure to take down his info. You can get in contact. Okay? We good to go? You got a microphone? Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way. And then I'm going to set up a little timer. Yeah, just go ahead and connect right there. Okay, and you guys can hear everything just fine, see everything just fine. Okay, hopefully online. Morgan, if you can hear me, make sure online folks can see and hear everything okay. And we'll rock and roll. Just so you guys know, they've got 7 minutes to pitch. That is not very much time. So of course he won't be able to cover everything, but he's going to do as much as he can within that 7 minutes, and he's prioritized what should be most important for investors in the room to see. After the 7 minutes, we'll do a Q&A, and for 5 minutes is all we've got. And so, and if he doesn't need 5 minutes, that's great. But that's all the time we're going to do, so that we can get through each one. Okay, sound good?
You can give me like a 30-second or.
Yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'm just setting up the timer now.
Can you guys hear okay? Okay. So yeah, as Bubba said, I'm the CEO of PillowCube. I don't know if people have heard of PillowCube, but we specialize in sleep products. So I started PillowCube back when I was running Creatively. Had this idea. I grew up, my best friend growing up was a Japanese kid whose family all slept on weird shaped pillows. And this idea kind of stuck in my head of, maybe pillows should not be pillow shaped. They should be something different. So we launched in 2019 a Kickstarter, started shipping product in December of 2019, and just kind of took off from there. So in 2020, we started really seeing some really great growth. And then one of our kind of first groups that picked up on it was actually NBA players, because they all loved being able to have something that was thicker, that was kind of custom made for them. So we've made pillows. LeBron sleeps on a PillowCube.
Rudy Gobert sleeps on a pillow cube the size of a baby mattress. It's insane. It's 9.5 inches thick. So we sell kind of these custom pillows that you can come in, you take a pillow quiz, and we kind of fit it to you. And then everything is kind of made specifically for your sleep style. So I think one of the biggest things that we're noticing, and let me see, no, it's not going to flip to the pages as easy. One of the things we're seeing is there's this massive wave right now in America where traditionally there's been these 3 pillars of health: food, fitness, and sleep. Sleep traditionally has been the thing that has gotten the least discretionary income, and that is flipping very quickly. People are really starting to realize how big of a problem sleep is and the positive impact it has on people. So it's a huge problem in America. A lot of people have sleep apnea. We have 43 million people in America who have been diagnosed with sleep apnea, but there's actually another 80 million who have been undiagnosed, and the pillow helps to reduce sleep apnea. Sleeping on your side is a lot better for your breathing, better for your heart, better for your digestion. So it's been something that's been really exciting to see the reaction. So I don't know if people have seen, there we go, seen our pillows before, but one of the things that was surprising to us is about 70% of Americans are actually side sleepers. When we first launched, we thought it was a very small minority. So all of our marketing was kind of around this, like, you're the forgotten part of sleepers that no one cares about, when in reality, most people are actually side sleepers. And so we focused our attention on that and really trying to solve their problem. So currently we're approaching about 1 million pillows sold. We should pass that this year, sometime end of this year. And we're starting to branch out into other sleep products. We've seen a lot of success with the pillows, and so we're starting to look at other verticals and other opportunities. So one of the things that I think is really interesting about the sleep world in general is that really there's not, especially pillows. Pillows have been kind of this ignored category. They're usually used as an upsell in a mattress sale. So you go in, you buy a mattress, and they say, hey, we'll throw in a couple pillows for free. And so they're usually made out of very cheap materials, usually made from leftovers during the mattress production process. And so they use things like shredded memory foam, which they shred up after they take all the leftovers from making a mattress, or they use polyfill. And we instead really focus on making a pillow that's really geared towards being high quality and solving kind of the problems that you have. So I don't even know where I'm at in the time. Maybe I'm going too fast. Okay. I was going way faster than I thought. So as I said, 70% of consumers are side sleepers. So I think a big thing for PillowCube has been focusing on interacting with customers and understanding their pain points and frustrations and problems. So we do a lot of surveys. We call customers. We do consumer research calls. I get on those calls whenever we launch a new product. And that's really led to all of our product innovation. It's been on those calls and in those surveys where we've found the other problems that people are having with sleep and the things that they're struggling with. So one of our recent kind of insights was that traditionally we split sleepers up into side, back, and stomach. But actually most Americans are combo sleepers. So this year we launched a combo pillow that allows you to roll from your side to your back. On the side, it's kind of more traditional pillow cube. When you're on your back, it cradles your neck really great. And before even launching it, just in pre-launch, it's already become one of our top 3 SKUs, which has been really great to see. Another thing that as we talked to parents, a lot of them asked if we could make a pillow that was better for kids, but also something they would actually use and not insanely expensive. There was kind of this interesting gap in the market where you have kind of pillow pets on one side, which are like just a bunch of fluff and aren't supportive, kind of same thing with Squishmallows. And then on the other side, you have like, I think the purple kids pillow is $80. And it's supportive and a better pillow for kids, but very, very expensive. So we launched what we call Kid Cubes. They are a patented pillow for kids that looks like an animal, stuffed animal, and then flips into a pillow cube. And okay, we launched that this year. We are launching those with Walmart this year. We're going into 600 stores in Q3 so that then we can ramp up for Q4. We launched with Walmart our other products in Q4 of last year. We beat forecast every week. So we're now expanding into all Walmart stores this year. So that's really the kind of key focus for us this year is retail growth. I'm going to skip through a lot of these things. But that's kind of the reason we're raising this round. We have a sleep tech product that we're launching. But we are raising this a $3 million round with influencers, celebrities, and athletes to really help bring in more people who can help with awareness and also convincing people to kind of take the step and buy the pillow. We currently have 3 billion impressions on our ads and our content. We have 1 billion video views. So a lot of people know about Pillow Cube, but as we've surveyed non-customers, the biggest thing that's stopping them is they're just wondering is it a gimmick? Does it actually work? And so that's kind of the reason I reached out to Bubba and said, hey, we want to bring in a round from influencers because we really want to help with kind of the credibility of the product. And so we're bringing in doctors and all kinds of fun influencers to do that. So yeah.
Time's up.
Yeah.
You did it. Okay. You guys, I'm just going to give you some quick live tips real fast.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're presenting up here, it's hard to stay like on with the slides, right?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to engage with the audience. You're trying to get things going. Don't worry. We haven't started your Q&A yet.
Yeah.
We haven't. Don't worry. But one of the things would be to either have somebody helping you with the slides to make sure that they continue so we can see all of those beautiful slides with all of the detail. Because some of us were like watching you scroll through and like, wait, what's that? What is that thing? So that would just be one little quick tip to help in the presentation. So if you come and pitch at whatever thing, you can bring somebody to help you and make sure you go through those slides to make sure it stays on kind of on track. And that way we can see all of the amazing detail because we don't even know how much revenue you've done. Can you at least share that? That'll be the first question, and we'll start Q&A now.
Yeah, so up to this point, we've done 80 million.
So this is not an early stage startup, right? If you're looking at like a Facebook, maybe, but like this is a well-versed entrepreneur with incredible traction. Incredible traction. Okay.
No, that's past revenue.
Repeat the question so people online can hear it.
Yeah, so the question was, is that past revenue or is that including forward revenue? Is that? Yeah, so that 80 million is from December of 2019 to April of 2024. So yeah, all actual revenue. So yeah.
Are you profitable on that 80 million?
Yeah, so we broke even, or just under broke even in 23 and then broke into profitability this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Awesome. Second question, you mentioned a patent on the kids pillow.
Yep.
You have IP on the other pillows as well?
Yes, we do have IP on a lot of the pillows. The only pillow we don't have is just the original cube.
How confident are you in the enforceability of that patent?
Of the kids one?
Of any of them?
I think they're pretty strong. The kids pillow in particular is the way that it opens. And so we patented the ability to, it's hard to describe. I think I have a pillow, but yeah, so let's see if there's a kids pillow in here. I don't think there is. Yeah, there might not be. It's essentially 2 pieces of foam that flip open, but in order to do that so that it can be used as a pillow and as a stuffed animal, we created a hinge that allowed that to do that seamlessly so that when they flip open, it kind of sucks the 2 pieces of foam together so it doesn't feel like it has a giant crack in the middle. And so that's what we patented is that hinge. So that one I think is really strong. The combo pillow, that's the one that's for the side and the back, and the knee cube, also really strong because of the way that we're kind of combining those different manufacturing processes. Yes.
We actually have 2 of these. I didn't realize it was a Utah company.
Oh, nice.
So good stuff. My wife bought them. Have you thought about in your marketing? It's really good, as far as I know, to land your side for digestion, because I think a lot of your stuff's on the side for your neck, but might be just an idea for you to, get the word out about what you're doing. So
yeah. No, it's great feedback. That's, I think, a big part of this round. We have a lot of chiropractors who are huge fans. And so there are a couple people who have already committed because we want to increase that credibility of like, it seems gimmicky at times, but it really is a much better way to sleep. The combo pillow helps, and some people just can't avoid going to their back. But if you can train yourself on like the traditional side cube, it really is better to stay on your side, especially if you're a guy and you snore. So wives appreciate it. Yeah. Yes. Digestion, your body, for whatever reason, I could go into it, but when you sleep on your left side specifically, it's much better for your digestion. It's the way your intestines are. Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah. Statistically, men snore more, but that is true. There are a lot of women who snore.
You mentioned Walmart. What's your other go-to-market? The way you go to market, and what's your price points?
Yeah, so go to market for retail.
Retail or direct to consumer?
Yeah, so we most of our revenue has been direct to consumer up to this point, as well as Amazon. But we are pushing harder into retail. We launched with Walmart. We're doubling the number of product lines we have with them this year, as well as increasing the store count quite a bit. But a lot of it has been through long form video that kind of explains the product really well and then pushes them into a sell. That has led to really good brand awareness. And so even with Walmart, we did not do any specific marketing for Walmart. We went up against 2 D2C pillows that were put in the same number of stores, and we were the number 1 pillow. They both did specific Walmart marketing, and we still beat them out just because of the brand awareness. So that's really been our strategy, is really top of funnel, explaining the product and using that as our go-to-market strategy. Does that answer that question? Price point, kind of our main pillow is $69 up to $150.
We got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
$3 million, and what does your ideal exit look like?
So we're doing 30 million post. Our ideal exit, I think, for the pillow business, pillow kind of bedding in general is usually very favorable to conglomerates. So it's usually just being sold to one of the other big brands like Tempur Sealy, Sleep Number, a lot of those groups, especially for the customer kind of penetration that we have. And then the sleep tech product, probably more towards a normal tech company. So, yeah.
All right, you guys, let's give him a round of applause. There we go. Nice work, Jay. All right, now the reality is most startups that are going to come up on the stage are probably not going to say they have 80 million in revenue over the last few years, right? That's not. So thank you for coming, Jay. I love it. Appreciate you. I know you got a jet. So if you make sure you put in your information if you want to be able to connect with Jay after, and I can if you didn't get his personal information, at least you can come through the survey. Jay@pillowcube.com. Okay, come on up. Let's go, Aaron. You're next. So while Aaron's getting set up here, just realize that obviously he could only cover so much information in that amount of time. But what you're looking at is a seasoned entrepreneur who's done this multiple times with multiple companies. And so this round is normally, a company that we would be writing into a seed round is going to be lower than maybe 10 million valuation. This is beyond that type of valuation, but warranted given there's revenue, given that he's already in profitability stage and the name recognition, billion views kind of thing. So that kind of gives you an idea. With Influence.VC, it's not that we only write checks into early stage companies, because the thesis is more about where's the opportunity where we can bring a value add of influencers to help it grow. And that's definitely one in the B2C side that we can do it. Now we're going to see one on the B2B side. And this is kind of a cool thing. So to kind of give you an idea about how you get into an investor, Jay and I have just known each other over the years, both being entrepreneurs, being at the different events together, and now he's raising, and now we're connecting, right? So that was an easy one when he reached out, because we already had that long-standing relationship. Aaron and I have been able to get to know each other at maybe a handful of events, but has been able to raise capital from mutual investors that I've invested alongside with, or have invested in my own startups. And so there's credibility in who he's already worked with. We don't have the depth of history of a relationship yet like Jay and I do, but he's a core expert in his area. He's building something in his space. And then there's that relationships around him that kind of led him to me. Does that make sense? So kind of just going off of one of the questions we had earlier. Are you ready to rock? Okay. You got a microphone. It's right here. Grab a microphone. I'm going to go ahead and get the timer started.
Before you start the timer.
Yes.
talking of networks, relationships, I would not be here today without someone in this room. So Benji Wone, put your hand up. Benji was my 7th interview at Qualtrics and was my green or red tick on if I got a job in Sydney, Australia. We jammed for about what? Probably an hour on like a whiteboard session, one of the best memorable interviews I've ever had. If that didn't happen, Alicia wouldn't be here today. So small world.
Benji,
Big
nice
shout out.
work, you guys. I love that. I love that. Okay, we're going to get started, you guys. This is tough to be up here, so I'm proud of you. And I'm going to go now. Go for it.
Perfect. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Aaron McReynolds. We built Alicio, the go-to-market performance platform. We focus primarily on B2B SaaS sales teams. My background actually comes from B2B SaaS. So I started my career at Goldman Sachs. I was there for a year, met my co-founder, Ryan Harris. And then, like I mentioned, was recruited, joined Qualtrics, was shipped out to Australia, was there for 4 years through SAP acquisition, then sold to Okta, and then Lacework. So I've been a sales manager and a sales rep for the last 9 years. And when we decided to build Alicio, I think kind of to Bubba's point, we were able to build a platform based on personal pain points. And I think it's really crucial because kind of the insights and the knowledge and the vision came from what had really hindered me in my career and gaps that I'd seen and pains that I'd faced. So when we built the platform originally, these were personal pain points. And we started doing the research. Anyone in here sold software before? Any salespeople? Okay. These are probably going to resonate with you. So I'm not even going to read out the facts, but these are probably going to make you chuckle because we all know that this is completely accurate and spot on. And I think this number's even gone down since we built this last slide. So when we looked at the state of the sales environment, we wanted to build a product not for RevOps, like most tools are, but for the reps and for the managers. We wanted to put the data in the fingertips of those people who are using those products daily. The fact that this amount of time is spent on non-selling activities, no one knows what direction they're supposed to have, and the fact that no one can hit quota, we decided to go out and explore this problem even further. So I was operating out of my garage in Orange County, selling for Okta. I had no idea what my reps were doing. I was playing golf. My manager didn't know. When I wanted to go and train and coach a rep, I was going into 8 different platforms to get the data on that rep. And so when we looked at the fact that COVID had pushed everyone to remote and hybrid work, you'd also lost competition, that sense of community within sales organization, the energy was sucked out overnight, and you saw the 39% sales started to dip. So we wanted to build a platform that could bring all this together. We see the future as a 3-legged stool. You need customer data, you need revenue data, and you need people data. Now, the first 2, well-defined. The middle one is just a race to the bottom right now, if you know anything about SaaS. When you go and you talk about the people and the performance behind those people, that's where we feel that that gap exists. So we built Alicio based on a 10-point framework. We actually ran this at Qualtrics in a spreadsheet for 2 years. Every single day your reps come in, they get 10 points based on the KPIs that are important to your organization. What's fun about this is we sold a B2B SaaS primarily. Our largest customer is a real estate company, 125 agents on the platform. So it applies to any sales organization. You pick the KPIs and what's important to you. Okay, I thought you were asking a question halfway through. So we track your performance daily. The reps enjoy our platform because they get to essentially have a level of autonomy that they've never had. So in sales, generally, managers just say, everyone makes 60 cold calls a day. Everyone try and book 2 demos in a week, whatever it be. And they set these blanket KPIs. But tell me 2 sales reps that are the same. They're not. We all operate differently. We're all good at certain things. We all have weaknesses in certain areas. And so we all try and fit into this box. We enable you to say, this is what I'm good at. The data backs that up. Where my areas of weakness are, go and train and coach me on those. So if I'm really good at cold calls, turn that dial up. If I'm good at emails, turn that dial up. Don't just blanket everyone. We then have competitions, leaderboards, real-time rewards and recognition directly within the platform. Again, trying to bring back community. And then performance management. In my entire career, every one-on-one pipeline review, PIP that I'd done, I ran in a Google form. That data stayed with me, didn't leave my laptop, I left the company, all that data came with me. We wanted to put a place where you could actually track and archive all of those internal meetings, actually have actionable follow-up and insights directly from those meetings. So we started selling in August of last year. We got really fortunate. MongoDB was our 3rd customer. Like I said, we primarily sell into B2B SaaS organizations, but have started branching out into other verticals right now. What we're excited about, though, is kind of the level of conversations that we're having right now. User Evidence and Red just became a customer. Aviatrix also just became a customer. And so we're starting to build out this really strong mid-market / enterprise focus. I wanted to highlight this case study. This is a Utah-based sales organization, about 75 reps. Red is the month before Eliseo. Blue is the month with Eliseo in a POC format. This wasn't enforced. There was no integration. This was manual data entry from the reps. And these are the results that they had. It's purely based on the fact that we give you that focus, that benchmark. 10 points every day. Think 10,000 steps. You know you've had a great day in health. 10 points a day. You know you've had a great day in sales. Real quick on the fundraising piece, like Bubba said, we have fundraised. So our first check, we did an angel check back in 2022 with Ann Duane at Village Global, Mike Leventhal, and Doug Merritt, the former CEO of Splunk. We did a pre-seed in June, led by Kickstart. SaaS Ventures came in, and then we're just about to close our seed round right now as well. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so did you see how he kept the timing of his slides? Nailed it. He's even a minute early, which is pretty awesome. I love that you shared who your investors were, because we didn't get to hear that from Pillow Cube. He didn't do this alone. You know, he got to 80 million and he had other people involved. So I love that piece of it. Just some feedback. And only if I can give any tip.
Please, always.
I know we've got mics here, but he's a pretty serious dude. Knows he's going to do it. I love seeing some smiles though. So like, dude, you got a good smile. I want to see some smiles. He's having a good time up here. I know it's nerve wracking.
That's
Your
just
team
me
gives you a
always.
hard time.
Yeah.
No, that's
on it.
one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little Q&A here. So if you guys are prepped, I've got the mic. If they don't have the mic, will you repeat the question? Because we still have these live viewers that are watching, and I want to make sure they hear the question. I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. If somebody has their hand raised, so we can get the timer going. Right, I'll hand the mic as soon as we get a question going. Okay, and here we go.
Given your target ICP of kind of end users and frontline managers, what's your go-to-market with in terms of selling to them?
We sell to CROs. So we don't actually sell to the end user. We built a product for them because you have to have the adoption at the rep level. But our outbound strategy is directly into the CRO. CRO, VP of sales. You know, we've also seen a shift where now you can go get approval there and then it still falls on the CFO table. So we're kind of multi-threading in the sale. But for us, we kind of focused and started with that top-down sell. We just released our bottom-up approach. So sellers can actually come in, sign up for a single user license. Our first one was Cisco. Like the day we released it, Cisco inbounded, single user, and now we're talking to that team of 10. So kind of a little bit of a shift, opened up that avenue as well. Great question.
Nope.
They don't.
So it's hey, good. So clearly it's working. You know, when you see the percentage increases, anything else on the product roadmap that you're thinking about to be more enterprise ready or to, you know, be more broad appeal?
Can we sign an NDA? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're actually, the reason we did, so our seed round that we just did is 9 months ahead of schedule. Kickstart came to us, so it's preemptive, it's oversubscribed. We're building out our AI engine right now. Don't go tell anyone, but what we're going to be able to do is actually deliver the insights automatically to the reps and the managers, identify those areas of weakness without having to go scour through 8 data silos, and then also a query agent directly within the platform. Aaron is the top rep in my company. What does he do all day? What does he focus on? Where is he most productive? What are my top deals that I'm working on? Just delivering those insights automatically to the rep. We also want to build a platform. My main goal is efficiency. Like, I can't go to the grocery store because it's so damn inefficient. Like, that's my big kind of hang up. And so for us, we look at the span of control with sales managers today. It's like 6 to 8 reps, right? That's all they can handle. They're training, they're coaching, they're leading, they're trying to close deals. We want to take the coaching and training piece off their plate. We think it's broken. So the other piece for us is an AI sales manager directly within the platform. Aaron's 15% lower on his cold call conversion. Go spend 30 minutes with the simulator. Come back, get rewarded, get recognized for that, which we never get in sales, right? So we don't do the training, we don't do the coaching. That's all part of our thesis. So that's V2.
Good. We've got like 2 minutes left. Anybody up here? Question for him?
where is your development team housed? Are they in-house, offshore? What are their competencies?
Yeah, I'll be fully transparent. I'm not a technical founder, as you can tell. My co-founder is not. He's a COO. When we met Kat Kennedy at Kickstart, before she'd even started there, she's like, go get a head of product. So we got a head of product. We actually used Upwork to find a team in India. We pay them $20 an hour, and they're still with us. Like, incredible team. We back-channeled them with like 3 companies in the US that use them. They've asked to come like full-time employees. Then we hired a head of development who'd worked with our head of product for 4 years. And then we have additional engineer in-house. And then our front-end designer, who's been with us since day one, full-time at Pixar. So he's come in and done all the design work on the platform, does about 20 hours a week.
Nice. Okay. Last one. Got one.
And what are you raising now?
Yeah. So we've closed 2.5 of it. It's in the bank. The additional piece, we've got 3 verbals on right now. Just finalizing that.
Are you raising right now part of that seed round with Bubba?
You
and the
asked me
team?
2 days ago, yes. But as of right now, it's closed pretty much. So there is a gap.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
But if Influence were to come in with an SPV, yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, if you guys know, obviously Influence raises with a group of investors. And so when we come into a deal like this, I would create what's called an SPV, a special purpose vehicle. I would write a personal check, and then you guys would write checks into that SPV, that group. And then that one entity would come onto his cap table. And so when he's saying he's pretty much got all of that done, yes, but an Influence SPV could come in and help to fill out the rest or addition kind of a thing at a really good valuation. Well, since we always follow, that's one key tip. Influence never leads around. As of right now, we just follow. So he's got all these other investors in the deal. I want to follow other sophisticated venture capital firms to be able to come into. That helps shore up the quality of the deal for me.
And then on the flip side, we like you because it's not 10 people on the cap table. It's one name. So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Way to rock it. Give him a round of applause. That's awesome. Okay, Reed, coming up. Okay, you guys, this is our last pitch. So about 15 more minutes, and then we can end, and you can network and hang out and go get some more churros. If we have the churros out there, have them come out, if you can tell them. Oh, we are. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Look at this. She's serving it so you don't have to leave your seat. I love it. Okay, now, Reed and I got connected, again, through a mutual connection. So he and I haven't had a long-standing relationship just yet. But he came through a highly trusted source, a friend of mine that I've known for years and years, who actually invested in his company and has helped him actually building his product. So he has the contact that I have has an in-depth understanding of his business, where they're doing, what they're doing, and he's raising this round. And so my friend came to me and said, "Hey, I think you really need to take a look at this." So guess what it does with a stack of PowerPoints, stack of pitch decks. It goes right to the top, because of the trusted resource, trusted person, individual that brought me this type of an opportunity. Does that make sense? So again, that just kind of gives you an idea of how investors are looking at deals. They're typically coming from their own relationships or their very close network to put it at the top of the deal. And I know for you who are like, oh, I don't have a network with this, this group yet, or I haven't been around this, ecosystem very much. Come to these types of events, shake people's hands, introduce yourself, get yourself out there so you can start to get to know, because that relationship will help so much. Okay, you ready to rock?
Is this working? Yeah. There we
Okay,
go.
Reed's here. He's going to help us to know about tactic. I'm going to get the timer started. 1, 2, 3, go.
Thanks, Bubba. All right. So my name's Reed. I'm one of 2 co-founders of Tactic. And we are I'll just jump right into it. So we are a all-in-one workplace management solution that was built specifically to help companies manage their hybrid space. It's really centered around desks, rooms, and visitors. So the problem, why we exist. So hybrid work, I probably don't need to go into depth. The thing that's really just bubbled up in the last couple of years, it wasn't really anything, it wasn't a way of utilizing space prior to the pandemic, but it's completely flipped the way people think about office space on its head, and it's created a ton of logistical challenges for organizations in terms of managing their space. How much space do they need? Who's working from where, what, et cetera. And so, unfortunately, the existing solutions that are on the market, they were really built for specialized back office teams like facility teams, executive assistants that are managing conference rooms, et cetera, not necessarily for consumption of the general workforce of offices across the whole world with people that have different contexts of facilities and how space gets used. So naturally, the solution is something that is built specifically to solve the logistical challenges around hybrid work. That solution needs to be really easy to use, really easy to implement. The reason why is because, again, it's gonna go from being a back office solution to something that's used by every single employee in an organization, and it needs to be flexible enough on the back end to be able to cater to the different type of workplace strategies that companies try to implement. There's really 3 buckets. You have remote, in-office, and hybrid, but there's 100 different versions of hybrid. And so that tool needs to be able to really execute on an office-by-office basis, team by team within a company to be able to facilitate the strategy that the company has and how they want to implement their space. So quick snapshot where we are today. So we just crossed 750,000 in ARR. That's a 50% jump from end of year, and we also simultaneously crossed the 200 customer mark. I have some of our more recognizable logos here on the bottom. The reason I chose these ones, though, specifically is it highlights something kind of unique, I think, about our value prop and who we sell to. Red Bull is an energy drink company. Grammarly Tech Company, Northwestern University is an academic institution, and UN Women is a government agency. So it's industry agnostic. We sell to anybody that has space and that offers some degree of flexibility in terms of how they want their employees to engage with that space. I'll double click here on the next slide on the pipeline, but our close rate has jumped up pretty significantly. It was 16% in Q1 of last year, and it's now just under 50% year to date. So we've definitely seen a pull into the market as hybrid work becomes, the problems and pain points around hybrid work become more and more known by high-level executives in the company. So with that said, pipeline. So I split our pipeline into 2 buckets. You have expansion and new. So just over 500,000 of our pipeline is made up of expansion opportunities. We do something called the land and expand strategy. So what we found was that the sales cycles for a lot of these companies can be much longer if we try to sell to all of them at once. We sell typically to the headquarter location, and then we know they're going to have a good experience. We know they're going to like it a lot more than the other solutions that they were using previously. And then we just work to roll out across the rest of the offices around the world. So these are some of the more notable expansion opportunities that we have on the right. And then focusing on the 2.5 million, we've jumped. So at the end of last year, we were at 1.25 million in total pipeline. So it's gone up pretty dramatically in the last 5 months. The biggest change that we've seen in addition to volume is the type of deals we're seeing. So last year, we weren't seeing IKEA and H&R Block and these massive companies come into our pipeline. That's more of a last couple of months we've started to see this happening. And the closest deal right here, in terms of closing HPE, we're finalizing a $1.2 million deal with them over 3 years for just the out-of-box solution. We are negotiating some customizations that potentially will loop in that would drive up the cost, the price of that contract. But just in general, we're seeing a transition not just from small mid-market companies that we've been typically working with in the past. We're now seeing the large enterprise companies that have tried their own solutions internally. They're not working, and they're now looking to find a solution that can really do what they need to do across the user base that they have. So the reason I wanted to come here today is we are hitting an inflection point in the business. A couple of things I want to call out here. So this is new ARR added each quarter. You'll see this past quarter, Q1, we had our largest quarter so far. If you look back over the past couple of years, Q1 has always been our smallest quarter. It's usually because the pipeline's built in the prior quarter, and we know Q4, people are less online than they are in the other quarters in the year. And so we expect this trend to continue. Q1 should be our slowest quarter so far, and that was our best quarter of the year, or best quarter since the company was first created back in March of 2021. Couple of numbers here on the side. So I already mentioned our close rate. We spend just under $10,000 a month on ad spend. One thing you can't see on this graph is we used to be 100% outbound. We're now 100% inbound. So we do outbound activities. We spend, again, $10,000 to acquire those opportunities. We close 3 and 4 of the demos that get scheduled show up, and then we close 47% of them. So we're seeing that pull into the market, and it's super exciting. But it's also created the usage, the stress tested the product. So what we've seen is desk booking. It's kind of a newer concept, but it's becoming the norm. So you can see, I mean, again, this is influenced by the number of customers that we sold, but just if you look at existing user base, we've seen a massive jump in terms of how people are engaging with the space, how many people interacting and just knowing and intuitively and understanding the need for desk booking in their respective companies. And what's really happened is we're now, I'll get to this in a minute when I talk about the fundraise, but as we look at onboarding Hewlett-Packard, they have 60,000 employees, and we're onboarding right now, and Crypto.com, some of these large customers, we're recognizing the need to make sure that the product infrastructure is able to scale to those larger organizations. So with that said, what do we do differently? How much time do I have? 30 seconds. Okay. So I'll be super quick here. What we do fundamentally that's different is we didn't build this from a back office standpoint. We built this for employees. As we thought about hybrid, we said, what are the problems that employees are going to have when doing hybrid? And we worked backwards to find something that was frictionless for them, and then talked with the back office individuals to understand what they needed. And that's really how we differentiate. We're competing mostly against back office tools. And then I'll skip this just for time. We are raising $3 million, where again, we're focused specifically on, is that time? On engineering, and then doubling down on sales. So
Nice. Okay. Round of applause, you guys. You did a great job. Go back to the other slide, actually. I think this is good to keep it up.
Yeah.
One of the points I always say, a little tip, when you do end your presentation, you do have the question mark on the next slide.
Yeah.
But there's value. So stay on something that can give real value, because we're all standing here and we're looking at this and saying, oh, wow, you've actually got some legit investors already with you. Any investor in the room is going to want to know what other investors are in the deal. And so maybe you can help us in this current round. What are these two investors doing? Or did they invest in the previous round? Are they coming back? That's going to be the first question to get us started, and then be thinking of your questions for him. And here goes Q&A.
Yeah, great feedback. Thank you. Yeah, so they've actually, they did reinvest. They invested initially. We did a $3 million seed. They invested another $750,000 on top of that. And then we just in the last week or two, we've had people proactively reach out just with some of the traction that we've had today. And so again, this is like the last 7 days, we decided, this is probably the right time to double down. So yeah, they have participated again. They invested initially in 2021 and again this past year.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions?
So I'm just curious, more CEOs are moving their employees back to their offices just with the problems with hybrid and remote positions. So as that's happening, how do you see that affecting the company?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I mean, I'll be honest, there's nothing innovative about what we do. I probably shouldn't say that here. We solve a logistical problem, which is what we've done is we've consolidated tools that in the past, so room booking and visitor management right now, those existed mutually exclusive from one another. And we've just combined them with a new category, which is desk booking, into one platform that is really easy to use. What we've seen is that executives, they understand for the most part the value of office space, which is why they continue to invest in it. They don't have one desk per person anymore. And so what happens is people don't necessarily just know where to go every single day. So they need a tool to help manage limited capacity, and that's our target market, is people that have limited capacity in terms of their space. That doesn't mean they don't have assigned space. So maybe a desk is assigned Monday, Wednesday, Friday to one individual, and Tuesday, Thursday to another individual. Maybe it's a hot desk completely. But that's what we've seen, is that companies still value office space for the most part. They downsize because they don't need a seat per person anymore, and that creates the need for a tool that helps manage the logistics around that limited capacity. Yeah.
So first of all, I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love that you're doing it from Kiln too, by the way,
Yeah,
just as a
absolutely.
side note. I'm the CEO of Kiln, and I spend all day, every day thinking about the way people are going to use Office. And I just have to say, what they're doing has a huge addressable market. And I get approached on a regular basis from companies trying to solve the kind of issue. I think it's awesome that you're going after the large companies. So my first question is, on your raise, at what valuation are you raising at?
First of all, thank you for the words. And we just barely kicked off this process, so we're talking with a couple leads right now that are probably going to give us a term sheet in the next week or two. So we're honestly
Waiting to establish.
We're waiting to see how they
Negotiating
come out.
valuation.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
And then the second thing is, have you been able to determine how much money you're saving on the cost of the real estate or something like that for your customer?
That's a great question. So we have done case studies in the past. It varies so much based on the organization and how they want to use their space. But on average, I would say what we've seen is that tactic increases usage.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean. We have a really hard time tracing it to like, this is exactly how much money you save. Like they use the tactic data to identify.
I might be able to help you with that.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah,
I'd love to sit down and kind of riff with you on that.
Please, yeah.
And then my other quick question is, does your software enable team members to see what other team member is going to be on the office on a particular day?
Actually, I'll just go out at the very beginning. That was just like the foundational thing that we thought of. So you'll see on the bottom left, I mean, there's other ways to do it. But you can see you have a team schedule section, and you can see your team, your colleagues' work schedules each week, whether they're out of office, remote, or in office. And if they're in office, you can click on the little building icon, and it will locate them on the map.
Love it.
Where they're sitting. But yeah, thank you.
Love what you're doing.
Let's talk after.
This is big. This has got real big potential.
Thank you, Aaron. So subscription, it's split 50-50 between monthly and annual billing, but we charge on a per resource basis. So it's $2 to $3 again, depending on size, $2 to $3 per month per desk, and then $5 to $8 per month per room. And then billing again varies between monthly and annual.
This is awesome. That is our time.
Hey, thank you, guys.
And thank you to Arian here for hosting us at Kiln, you guys. Round of applause. Thank you. All right. Well, you guys, that is the agenda for the day. So I wanted to be able to have you guys see 3 incredible companies come, each with their own unique expertise, their own background, their own traction. These are legitimate investment opportunities that Influence wants to be able to help with an SPV, to be able to come together and do that investment. So the survey is key to be able to let me know interest. I can be able to reach out to you if that is something you wanted to do. Hopefully the entrepreneurs in the room, you guys got to learn how these guys were pitching. What were some of the most important pieces of pitching? They only had such a limited amount of time. If you guys can hone your skills with your own pitch so that when you do get in front of an investor, it can be as clean and as easy to understand as this. Because you want to be able to walk out of that room, or even just in a short 5-minute visit here at a networking event, share with somebody that value you have. So you guys, thank you for coming. This is awesome. I know we got more churros out in the back. Right now, we're just going to turn on some music, and you guys can chill, hang out, network. Please shake somebody's hand. I want to make sure you leave at least meeting 1 or 2 new people, because that's what this is all about. You guys, thanks for coming.
Sunshine.